You may have heard of the name Shaka Zulu, but do you really know what he did for history? As a king, how did this man become the leader of the Zulu nation? Let me take you through a journey of his life and leave you some knowledge that will help you change your perspective on African history. In this video, I'm going to tell you the story of one of Africa's most famous leaders. Let's get into it.
Welcome to another episode of the Untold Tales of Africa.
Shaka Zulu was a powerful leader who changed Africa forever. He was also one of the most controversial leaders in history. Born in 1787, Shaka would go on to become a legend because of his unique tactics that enabled him to defeat all of his enemies and create one of the greatest empires in African history. Born into the Zulu royal family, Shaka's father was considered illegitimate by the king and was denied a seat at the Zulu royal court. As a result, Shaka's father withdrew from society and all the responsibilities that came with being part of the royal family. When his father died in 1816, Shaka's older brother took over as the ruler. However, he did not want to deal with the responsibilities of being king, so he appointed Shaka as the chief of the Methwa, one of Zulu's biggest tribes. This move angered Chief Dizengwayo. Later on, Dizengwayo was attacked by Shaka's brother and forced him to flee to another tribe where he was hacked to death in front of his subjects. Shaka was able to escape Dizengwayo's wrath by agreeing to help the men exact revenge upon Shaka's brother. A year later in 1818, Dizengwayo and Shaka were ready for war. The flame of battle was ignited when another chief attacked the Zulu hunting party that was working for Dizengwayo. In retaliation, Shaka attacked this chief and killed him. At the Battle of Goki Hill in 1819, Shaka's forces were much more powerful than those of his enemy. In a series of daring maneuvers, Shaka was able to trap the chief's forces on a hill surrounded by ravines. Then, under the cover of darkness, Shaka's forces moved into position and launched their attack. Using this strategy, the Zulus were able to kill more than 3,000 of their enemy with relatively few casualties of their own. From 1818 until his death in 1828, Shaka expanded the borders through a combination of conquests and alliances. Shaka was able to unite most of the Ungi-speaking tribes in Southeast Africa under the Zulu banner. By 1824, Shaka Zulu had conquered the Thembu and the Nethwa and all of their tributary states. He also subjugated many of the smaller clans that had been terrorizing his people. When they learned about the handful of tribes that had joined the forces against him, Shaka launched a campaign of extermination. In 3 months, he destroyed 66 strongholds and slaughtered 2,000 people. Most of them were women and children. Shaka valued military experience above all else. He would only allow the most experienced warriors to serve as his bodyguards, and those men were responsible for enforcing his will. Anyone who showed cowardice in battle was hung. He also filled all government posts with veterans and allowed no one except farmers and domestic servants to wear natural colored clothing. He was a strict ruler, but he gave people order, peace, and prosperity. This is not a time of hunger and deprivation, but a time in which people could enjoy life after a long period of chaos and strife. Shaka became an acknowledged leader in Southern Africa. The Zulu nation grew in size and importance under his rule, and also became one, if not the most powerful nation on the continent. Shaka did not stop at the borders of his land. He also invaded and took over surrounding territories. He was also responsible for the death of thousands, and many more were driven away from their homes. But because of him, a new nation began to take shape. King Shaka Zulu died in 1828 after ruling for only 12 years. His half-brother Dingane succeeded him, but he only proved to be a less effective leader. He was assassinated in 1840 by his own tribe while trying to escape across the Thuleka River. It is hard to understand how such a controversial and influential leader like Shaka Zulu could be forgotten in history. His legacy still lives on today in many African countries that he conquered during his lifetime. But it should also not go unnoticed that this great man was also one of the most brutal leaders in history. For centuries, we will continue to debate whether or not Shaka deserves praise for what he accomplished while he was alive, but don't forget about him when you think about Africa's greatest leaders. That pretty much wraps up for this video. What are your thoughts on Shaka Zulu? Did you see him as a great leader? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe if you're interested in watching more videos related to Africa. Thanks for watching. My name is Asher, and I'll see you in the next video.